Hi, this is Jim. Jim is an orange horse that me and my partner adopted in December, I think it was December 2022, and he just wandered over from a barn or stables, him being a horse, where he lived, and said, "Can I live with you?" And we went, "Yeah, fine." So he's now very, very spoiled, and he demands high level of treatment all the time. So he's got a bit of a problem at the moment, and I wanted to do a bit of an appeal on his behalf, on Jim's behalf, which is that, so Jim's problem at the moment is that he can't get around the house as easily as he used to be able to, because there are all these books here, and Jim would like to move around more easily. Like he'd like to get hold of this cigar, for example, this catnip cigar, and be able to sort of to get hold of that. It's not really, the catnip's not very potent anymore, but Jim still loves it. He'll sometimes pick it up and put it on the sofa with him. But yeah, so he would really like me to get rid of this lot, which I've been trying to do. So I'll give you the background to this. 2.5 weeks ago, a big lorry arrived with 5,300 and a bit copies of my books, and I got all these from the warehouse of my ex-publisher, my publisher who I'd been with since 2017, a crowdfunding publisher called Unbound, who have now gone into administration. They don't exist anymore, except most of the people who work there are now working for a new company called Boundless, a new publishing company. What had happened is that Unbound hadn't been paying me the money that I was owed for a long time. Same had happened to their other authors. We'd been waiting, we'd been getting promises of when we'd been paid, and then it didn't happen, and the months went on. Last year turned into this year, and then I had a new novel, which would have been my 7th book with them, scheduled to come out actually Thursday before last. And in January, I kind of thought, oh, okay, I need to make a decision here. Am I going to go ahead, let them publish it when it seems like they're having some kind of difficulties and they're also not paying me, or I can take the rights back to my books because they've been in breach of contract. So take my rights back to all the 6 books I'd written before and published with them, and the new novel. So that's what I did. And then straight afterwards, they went into administration, and that is why I've got these books here. I am very much hoping very, very shortly I'm going to have a new publisher. So these books they're going to come back out into the world, and the new book, the new novel, which is called Everything Will Swallow You, is going to come out soon, and I'm hoping to have news about that very, very soon. And I mean, it's to me, it's the most important book of my life. So I kind of thought I want it to be published by a publisher who's doing well and who pays me. So there's that. But in the meantime, I've got all these, and I've been thinking of ways that I can get them into your hands, really, if you'd like them. Quite a few of you have bought them so far off me, and I want to thank you for that. So because I'm owed so much money, it would be really nice if I got the cover price on some of them to help me claw back the money. But what I've decided is that I am happy to give these books to people for postage plus a donation of your choice. So the price of postage plus a donation of your choice, if you would like them from me. So I did have 5,300 and something. It's now down to about 4,000, which is still difficult for Jim to get around, because he is quite large, and he's not the most nimble of cats. And also, I'd like to get to the fridge more easily, as would my other half, Ellie. We just want a little bit more ease of movement around the house. So the other thing I've been doing as well is I've been sending them to bookshops, to independent bookshops, because independent bookshops have been very supportive of my work over the last few years. And I want to kind of support them in my own way. I've always said, don't buy my books from Amazon if you can possibly help it. Support an independent bookshop in the process. So what I've done is I've sent some boxes of these books to independent bookshops and said, please can you refund me the postage and then give me the price of your choice when you've sold them. And I'm absolutely fine with that. So if you are an independent bookshop watching this, or if you know of one, if you've got a lovely local one you think might be interested, please let me know. I've also been putting some in. We get these free libraries in former telephone boxes in the UK. There's quite a lot of them, particular amount actually here in Devon and across the border in Dorset. So I've been kind of dropping a few in there as well. So I thought I should talk you through what I've got here. I think I'll start with the most recent one. This is 1983, as you can see. But what it says is that it's 3861. This is because I'm looking at this through the camera on an iPad, and it also says that it's by Exoc Mott. And this is apt. I mean, you're not going to see that because you're seeing it the right way around, but this is apt because that's how the book starts. The book starts with a small child looking at a sweatshirt that says the name of a primary school on the sweatshirt, and he's crying because he doesn't know about what mirrors do to text. So he thinks that he's just got a defective sweatshirt. This is something that happened to me when I was about 5, maybe 6, and I loved my primary school, which was called Claremont Primary School, and it was a multicultural inner city primary school with a very inspiring head teacher called Jean Pension, and a very inspiring hand-picked bunch of teachers, handpicked by her because of their imagination and passion for their job, and it just created a really lovely thing. So I was already in love with this school after being there for, like, I'd been in the nursery of the school as well, but I'd been there for like a couple of years, so I'm very proud to get this sweatshirt that said Claremont Primary School, and then see in the mirror it doesn't say that, and I just started crying and I was very upset, and my mum came into the room and said, it's okay, it does say Claremont Primary School, you're reading it in a mirror and that's what happens. And everything was better, and I could wear it to school the next day. So this is the scene that begins this book, the difference being that the child is 7, and that happens on January the 1st, 1983. And this book tells the story of the whole of 1983 through the prism of a primary school very much like Claremont, and also a mining village in North Nottinghamshire, very much like the one I grew up in. And I noticed like a couple of people who'd reviewed the book early on seemed to think that it was just, that's all it was. It was just this sort of autobiographical fiction thing, which was through the eyes of this 7-year-old kid, or the older version of him. But it's not. And I think the people thought that because they read like 25 pages of it. And the truth is, it has many, many different narrators, and it becomes a very different book just over halfway through, which I can't tell you why, because I'd be spoiling it, obviously. And this is because I did not want to write the simpler book, because that would not have been an interesting challenge for me. Instead, I decided it's going to be a bit sci-fi, and it's going to go off in weird places, and it's going to have a pagan robot maker narrating some of it. It's going to have some daffodils narrating some of it. It's going to have a racist ex-school bully narrating some of it, and that was more of a challenge for me, but it was massive fun to write, and it came out in hardback in August last year, and hopefully will come out in paperback through a new publisher in the not too distant future. It's the most expensive of the books I've got here because it's hardback. The cover price is $16.99, but if you want it and you want to give me less than that, absolutely no problem. So that's the most recent one, and that is the only fiction that I've actually got, because my previous book, which was Villager, my first novel, that seems to be the book that everyone always wants, and I got a few copies of it, and they've all gone already, unfortunately. Then there's also Help the Witch. I do have like 3 or maybe 4 copies of this left. That's my collection of short fiction from 2018, which is a bit eerie, a bit wintry sort of book, whereas I think, if anything, Villager and 1983 are summer, spring sort of books. So there are those, but yeah, unfortunately, Villager, although it had been selling well, my ex-publishers hadn't reprinted it recently, so I only got a few copies. And then, to go back right to the very beginning, not the beginning of my career totally, because I wrote my first book in 2001 and it came out in 2002. But this felt like, this book, 21st Century Yokel, felt like it was where my career kind of started properly. Like the other stuff felt like practice, and this was my 9th book, but it was where I started writing with freedom, with true freedom, and writing truly the books I really wanted to write, and not worrying about the way a publisher might market them and having to shoehorn them into that sort of high concept, sales friendly book, and just saying, no, I'm just going to write the truest book to myself. So it's not even, I mean, it's been called nature writing, and it got long listed for a nature writing award called the Wainwright, but it's not nature writing. It's wildlife, social history, family memoir, walking, folklore, general silliness. It's the whole lot, and that's kind of how I wanted to write it, and I'm still feel very proud of it. And then it's sort of as a companion piece, there's this book called Ring the Hill, which came out. It was Help the Witch in between these two. I had a first dip of the toe into fiction, and then went back to Ring the Hill. Ring the Hill is my favourite of my non-fiction books. 21st Century Yokel is probably the place to start, because it's silly and more anarchic and perhaps more definitive, and has more about my own background. But Ring the Hill, I think, is a slightly better book, and I've got loads of this. I've got loads of both of them, but really got absolutely loads of this one in particular. And it's actually quite cheap to post as well, because it's quite thin. So it's only like £4 to the UK and 15 to America, which isn't, these days, is not too bad. And then you can just give me what you want on top of it if you would like a copy. It's not, I mean, I realise the title doesn't exactly have an instant resonance for a lot of people. People might not know what it's about. I could have given it a more commercial title, but I didn't, because I'm me and I'm difficult. And but Ring the Hill is actually a very, very old English word or term for hare. Not hair, but hare as in like more muscular rabbit, a rabbit who does magic. Hares are they're like if a rabbit was a wizard, it'd be a hare. And hares are in the background of this book everywhere. They're sort of lurking. They're not the theme, but they're a sort of sub-theme of it. So that's why I called it Ring the Hill. But if I'd listened to, say, for example, a self-styled internet marketing guru on Twitter a few years ago, who told me that it had a bad title for sales and that the artwork looked like a chick lit romance, I don't get that at all. I think this is beautiful artwork by Claire Malinsky, but if I'd listened to this person, I would have called it something else. and I didn't because I wanted to call it this. It's a bit of it got a bit lost because it was like a pandemic baby as a book, so didn't quite get out there. And it's got this nice quote from Stephen Fry on the cover, and I got told by someone else who got Stephen Fry said they like one of their books that changes your life, but it didn't for me. It was very nice, but it didn't particularly change anything. I suppose I'd like it to see a bigger audience. It also, final thing to say about this is a lot of people read my books about cats years before, which were sort of about cats and more, and this has the final section of this is quite cat themed, and I do think it's my best writing about cats. It's better than the writing about cats in the cat book. And then finally there is this book called Notebook, and that's exactly what it is. Again, really thin. If I just post this alone, it just costs £4 to post, or 15 to America, and somewhere in between if you're, for example, in like France or Germany. And it's just, a couple of people have said that this is a good kind of like gateway to my writing, but without having to commit too much, I suppose, because you can dip into it, and it's very silly, very serious in places too, but it's a collection of what I decided were my best notes from the notebooks I'd kept between we'll start about 2012 and go right up to 2020, so maybe like 8 years of notebooks. But I also tried to fashion it into an abstract narrative as well, which was inspired by these two great books I read. I think they're both 70s books. There's Sleepless Nights by Elizabeth Hardwick and Speedboat by Renata Adler, both fabulous, and try and find them if you can. But they gave me the confidence to think I could write a book like this that is, again, very, very hard to market, and it's just a bunch of random thoughts really, which sort of, I think, kind of hang together. So that's the one to get if you don't want to commit too much, I think, and you just want to dip into it, and you can read it in no time at all because it's only about 124 pages long. So that's what I've got. And as I said, postage plus whatever you want to pay. If you want 3 of them, then I will also send you one of these beautiful bookmarks which have been made by my mum, while stocks last. I've got about 30 something of them. You saw the hair there, so that will go nicely with Ring the Hill. That's her cover design. It's her chapter heading design for Everything Will Swallow You. So that's kind of like a brand new design. And then this is a merganser duck, which briefly features in Villager. That's my cat Roscoe, looking quite sweet there, which can happen. It's rare though. She's a bit of a despot. And some elephants, coffee pot, and this nice kind of mystic horse creature and rider. So I'll send you one of those if you get in quick and you have 3 books. So the way to get all these is to email me via the contact form on my website, which is tom-cox.com, or just hello@tom-cox.com. That will get through to me in the same sort of way. Let me know your address, where you need the book sent, and then I'll calculate postage, let you know how to pay. And the other way to do it is if you take out a paid subscription to this Substack, a full annual one, which is a bit cheaper than just the monthly one, I will send you a signed Ring the Hill absolutely wherever you are in the world. I'll send it to you. As soon as I get notification of your subscription, I will email you, and then I'll get one straight out to you. All of these will be signed, absolutely all of them. So I just finally wanted to say a bit about the background to this, like with Unbound, who I think you can see if you've if you've picked up one of my books before, or even from what you've seen just now, that there's some very beautiful covers. And the thing about Unbound is they made lovely, lovely jobs of my books. They made me feel proud of the whole thing. It was like I tried to write the books that were most true to me and put the best books I could possibly write, but then I could feel completely proud of them because they chose the cover art so carefully. The two cover artists they've used, and I always try to mention them because a lot of people don't mention their cover artists, and you should. You really should. So that's Clem Alinsky, who did Yokel, Ring the Hill, and Notebook. And then Joe McLaren did 1983, Help the Witch, and Villager, which I haven't got. And so there's that level of care and just such great editors as well. I mean, particularly my most recent experience with Everything Will Swallow You was just fabulous in terms of the editing side of it. So, and it's another reason why this has been so sad, what's happened with them going into administration and not paying their writers, because there was so much that seemed very, very good about the company. And of course it does work better if a writer's got a following already, people who can support the books. So in a way, I've been, with all of this, I've been putting my trust in this company, because what always happened was like, so they'd have a target for the book, what they needed to make the book, and that was the 100% thing. So you get your readers to support you to get to that 100%. Unbound took all that money, and then a profit share was supposed to begin after that. And so that was the way it worked. And but it was me really saying to my readers, trust this company. Unfortunately, this company's not paid me, not paid the other writers, still hasn't. We still don't know for sure if we're going to get the money. Even worse, something much worse than that happened, much worse in my opinion, which was a couple of weeks before Unbound went into administration. When I was getting my rights back, I was sent a draft message, which was supposed to go to all the people that had supported my most recent book, Everything Will Swallow You, that I decided wouldn't come out with Unbound anymore because of them being in breach of contract, and that I would find a new publisher for it. They were supposed to send a message to those readers to say how they could get a refund. So I was thinking, at least everyone's going to get a refund here, as they were supposed to. Then, after that, not much more than 2 weeks after that, after I'd told everyone that, I was then told by Unbound, or the people who had worked at Unbound in their new guise, no one would be getting that refund. So that just, I'm fucking furious about that. There's no two ways to say it. I'm just fucking furious. It just feels so wrong. So now, hopefully you already know about that if you pledge for this book. Hopefully, because I want to get the message to everyone about exactly what's happened. And I just feel so sorry that people have put their trust in this company who would do that to a writer's supporters. And I'm not the only one that it's happened to, I can tell you that as well. So that's kind of where we are with this, and I'm really hoping that's a good situation is going to come out of a bad one. But what I keep thinking about all of this is that it makes you feel, on one hand, like, God, we live in a harsh, horrible world. But then, counterbalancing that, there's something like Substack, and there's some power that writers can have to do their own thing and to speak directly to their readers, which I still can through things like this and Substack. And I could also in the early days of Unbound. But but less so in the later days, because I couldn't email my readers through their site anymore. I'm not quite sure why that change was made. It confused me. So this counterbalances it, and I've just been amazed at the amount of patience, understanding, support people have shown about what's happened with all this, because obviously my thought was, if Unbound refund everyone, then people will rebuy the book when it comes out with a new publisher, or I self-publish it, or whatever was going to happen. And then if people aren't getting their money back, then there's the worry that might not happen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that people will, when I can announce it. And there are some inroads being made into trying to make a signed edition available for everyone. But in the meantime, I mean, I'm just going to keep writing. I'm going to keep selling books, and hopefully, I mean, if I'm really honest, this feels like it's robbed me of months of my life. There's the money on one side, but then there's all of the stuff around it, all of the back and forths over email, it's been so draining. But what I really want to do is get back to writing, and I sort of felt like if I could just sell a few more of these, it'll make me feel a bit more like I can, and drop a few more in phone boxes and what have you, and then they will be re-available. Whatever happens, there's going to be a point where they're re-available. At the moment, the ones that are in the shops, I can't guarantee that I'm going to get my royalties for those, the remaining few in the shops, but for these, obviously, I will be paid. These are mine. They're signed. They're for me to do what I want with, and hopefully I'll have some more news very soon. But I just want to really thank everyone again for amazing support through quite a difficult time. And as you can see, Jim is just really, really thankful as well. I know he's not really showing it as much, but he's quite reserved in that way. He doesn't always show his true feelings, which I think is just characteristic of the horse in general. Every horse I've met has been a bit like that. Anyway, I'll shut up now, and next time you get something in your inbox from me, it will be a piece of writing rather than me waffling on. Bye bye.